How's it going? Hope everyone's doing well. I thought I'd bring Lucy up just for a minute. She's mad at me because she pooped in the house and she got in trouble. So she's not happy with me right now. You can tell. She's kind of like, she didn't like that I got mad, but can't do that. No, she's a good girl, but so she did that and that was her day. And so I'm going to put her down because she's clearly still angry with me. But I can't have her do that. So I hope everyone's doing well. I know this week was a tough one. And so I wanted to kind of go over a few things with you guys and hopefully give you some, some like divine perspective and give you some information as well as I wanted to look at a couple things live with you guys so you can kind of, test your own intuition and see what you guys get as well when I'm talking about these things. But so I thought we'd start with kind of the overall stuff that's been happening, particularly, recently. Obviously this week was a very difficult week, and we'll get into that. But do you remember a long time ago? I don't exactly remember when it was, but it was about a year ago. And we talked a lot about unearthing. And I was reminded of that by my guides, that this is part of this process. And what's going to be happening, and just so you're prepared and you kind of know, and when these things come up, you can remember this, that part of the unearthing, part of the showing us what's wrong, here's what's wrong, and now you can fix it. Part of that process, it's a painful process, first of all, but also it's going to be very obvious. It will be very in your face because the time is now. We need to fix these things, right? So we're being shown in very obvious ways, this is what's wrong. These are the things that are wrong. And so this process of unearthing is going to continue. And I feel like when the new administration comes in, which they will, when that happens, there is kind of a stretch of a healing period where people are just kind of taking a deep breath, and then the work will begin. And so I don't know if, and I know we all want it to happen right now, right? We just want to be on the other end of this and be, in the clear, years from now, right now. But I don't know if and I always felt that if there was a Biden administration and not a Bernie administration, it would be because we needed this kind of reprieve, this kind of just time of just healing and calm. But I knew that, like I said, I've always seen this younger man and younger woman making these changes just across the board. And it could be the new, House and Senate leader, because I think it's going to be a wash. I think it's going to be a complete sweep of the government. But so it could be them, but it also could be another administration or midway, because I don't know if Joe Biden will make it to the end of his term. Some psychics have said he's not going. They don't think he's going to make it to the election, and that is a possibility. I do think that he is being helped by his son right now on the other side. I feel like his son is kind of giving him the strength to get through this, because I feel like physically he's weakening. But it doesn't mean he's going to be dead or anything, or he's going to die or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but what I'm seeing is that his just ability to kind of keep up with the energy of this kind of lifestyle is going to be slowing. And so he may just step down from it during the term, or at the edge just won't run again. But I do see him having a very short period of time. But it is to give us this compassion and understanding that we need to have this kind of healing period. But right now we're in this unearthing, and that is when we will see a lot of I wouldn't say they'll all be chaotic things, but they'll be very obvious. It's like we're being a mirror is being placed up to us, or a picture is being placed up to us. This is what you need to fix. And so this very, very awful, in your face, unforgettable image of George Floyd on the ground with this unfeeling, uncaring, empty inside police officer. Sorry to make all those. That's what I'm feeling actually psychically. So I'm just letting you know, and intuitively, and you probably felt that too, looking at the picture. But this stark image, it is like it's a light. It's like, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to fix. It's showing us the problem. This is part of that unearthing. Okay. And there's going to be things like that do come up. The Me Too movement, the guns. You think of all the things that have had a turning point at all of a sudden. It's not by accident. It's supposed to be showing us the problems so that we can fix them and we can get on to other things, right? Because these things have been holding us back, holding us up from doing the work that needs to be done to save the earth, to save mankind. That's a bigger picture, and all of these problems inside here that are going on, that are awful in their own right, we need to fix them. We need to start fixing them and looking at them and facing them. And so that's what's happening right now. And so that's why it does feel like it's almost like you can't bear to see it, because it is the divine, the spirit, making us look at this so that we can fix it. And it's hard to see, it's hard to watch. But that is what's happening. And so along with that, I wanted to look at the rioting that's happening, because I'm getting some weird things about it. And so I wanted to look at it live with you. And also it's a good kind of window into the process, because, and I do this, every so often, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity as well, because as I talk about images that I'm getting, see how you feel about it. What are you feeling when I say that, or what images are being added on for you when I talk about these things, because it may strike a chord with you, especially if you're intuitive yourself, or if you are exploring this. It will give you some idea of how I get what I get, and what the process is. So I want to look at these riots, and I have been the last few months using just a board. I just scribble on it, and it just gives me a really quick way to kind of get in a more meditative, single-minded flow. So I'm going to ask my guides to tell me about the rioting, who's doing it, why they're doing it, what's happening, what is this? Okay. Okay, so already they're splitting it up. So basically when I say that, what I'm seeing is like a pie splitting apart. It's like a pie with pieces splitting apart. So already they're breaking it apart for me. So it's not just one thing. It's not just one group. It's not just one reason. They're splitting it apart for me right away. And so one part of this they're showing as being money, poverty. People are desperate. So part of it is the kind of the opportunity presenting itself. And I'm thinking of an image that we just saw, where there was a store that was open and people were just going in and taking things out of the store. And it was like all ages, and it was in a poor area, neighborhood, and broad daylight, and they're just taking stuff out. And so I'm seeing that and feeling like there is the like coronavirus, unemployment, the worry about and the anxiety of not having enough and not having things, and this opportunity presenting itself. And it's kind of like, and it's almost like they're able to kind of justify it, because it's like I had this taken away, so I'm getting this back. It feels okay to them. It feels, it doesn't feel as bad as if it would in a normal circumstance. It feels like I need this, so it's okay. So there's part of it is that kind of just of the opportunity, and then the poverty is also on top of that. Now they're going into something else now. They're showing me a spider web. Because whenever I see a spider web, that means it means like the web, like the World Wide Web, but it also means something underground, something a little bit nefarious, and something organized. So that's what I'm seeing now. So so part of this is like an organized thing. It's people like communicating, talking to each other, and with that, I'm getting kind of a feeling of. It's kind of like like this is the chance. This is our chance. This is the chance to do this. It does feel like mostly white, like a white group, like white supremacists or something like that. And when I say feels, it just it's like I'll get a quick flash of a certain like just then I saw the Charlottesville, the tiki torches, that kind of. So I got that flash, and then the feeling is like angry white guy. You know, I don't know how to explain that, but that is like what it feels like. It feels like just angry, and a little like kind of entitled. This is our time to do this. So there is that component to it. And I'm not, like I said, they spread it apart for me first. So it's not just one thing. And so I don't want you to misunderstand that I'm saying it's just this group. They're the only ones. It's a mixture. The other part they're bringing up is uncontrolled anger, uncontrolled rage. And when I see that, I'm seeing the police station on fire. That's what I'm seeing. So it's that kind of thing. And I wouldn't say all the fires. That particular one though, I'm seeing as and a police car on fire. So it seems like it's more aimed at the police. That kind of rage is going to show up with that fraction. So that's what I'm seeing for that. I'm seeing this is just kind of going into this, and this will happen sometimes, and I just kind of go with where this is flowing. It's showing me the people in the government in Minneapolis, like the mayor and the governor, and working very hard together. It's funny, I'm kind of focused in on this mayor, and I did at the time because I see him as such a sensitive soul. He loves his city. He loves the people. He's so angry about this, and I even want to say, you guys, and I don't go writing to him or anything like that, but I do feel like he might be sensitive, like he has abilities, because I do feel like he had a premonition of some kind about something like this happening when he's mayor. So he may put it down to I thought this could happen or something like that, but it does feel almost like a premonition, a psychic, like his guides were preparing him. Because he feels like he might even have like abilities and just not know it. And that's, we all have abilities, to some degree. And, but it feels like he does have, kind of like premonitions or, weird things where like, I'll dream this and it will come true, that kind of thing. So, and he's representing something. He's representing this kind of, more, I would just say like understanding and sensitive side of this subject, and the ability that so many people that age and younger have to really empathize with minority communities, to understand where this comes from, to understand the history of it. They just have a kinder, more understanding way of looking at this stuff in all races, but in this, I'm particularly talking about white people. That there is just kind of there's an understanding there that is kind of in a way it's new, and I think people that are doggedly racist, it scares, that kind of thing scares them, because it's like change is coming, and this is like I said, this is the end of an era. I've said that many times, but it is, and the reason that, they're holding on for dear life, because it is like the dinosaurs. They're going to be extinct and the world will be changing. The world is changing, but it's going to be really changing, and changing for a purpose, right? We have something we have to do now. So, and we have for a while. So this is going to happen rather quickly, in the great scheme of things, not quickly enough for me, for us, but it's going to be happening rather quickly. And so, you're going to, and they feel it coming. The end is coming, and they're holding on. And, that's what's happening. So, don't be surprised to see these weird acts and these weird things that people do, because they're terrified. They don't know what that looks like, but they just know they're afraid of it. And I don't mean afraid on the surface. I mean down deep. There is a real fear. Okay. So I hope that gave you some answers, at least about the riots, so you kind of know where things are. That it isn't just one thing. It's a few things going on here, and also, there is just a general, you felt it probably, this general stress in the air with coronavirus, and everybody is tired of living in fear, being worried, being nervous. It's also a release in some way, to be able to go out and protest and see people and be with people. It reminds you the world is there. So these peaceful protests, and I wondered if you guys noticed there are so many young girls in the, like my daughter's age, like 20, in their 20s, and I just noticed that when I was young women, in the crowds. I don't know if my eye was just drawn to those, or if that was, a thing, but it seemed like there were a lot of, and I know that a lot of this is going to be driven by female energy. So, I think we've kind of said that all along. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the predictions, because I had a few people write to me and talk about the fact that I had kept talking about these protests that would take place right before the end of this administration. And there was one in particular I remember so well, because it kept saying the phrase again and again, that they break the White House gates. And I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was a long time ago. It was like a year and a half ago. I mean, it was a long time ago. And I remembered that so well, and I remembered the image of them knocking down these black gates. And I think at the time I even said, "Are there black gates around the White House? That's weird." But when I saw them pushing, and like other people, I thought, how would that happen now because of the virus and everything going on? But I trust it. If I get it, I trust it. And if I know that if I get something, it's either going to happen soon, or it's important. It means something. It has significance. And when I saw them breaking the barriers at the White House, I thought that's what it is. That's what it was. So, and it also tells you that we're on a trajectory. We're on track. We're in a mode that's not going crazy, and it's like this is happening. It's coming to fruition. So. Something is on track, whether we feel like that or not. It can feel like utter chaos, but there is a road that this is moving in. It's moving in, it's moving in a way that it needs to move, and it doesn't always feel good. In fact, it feels crappy sometimes, but that is happening. And so, and these little predictions along the way. I've been letting you guys, or reminding you, that it's not really about all these little predictions. It's about the validation of the big prediction, which is that Donald Trump will be gone. The United States will survive. Okay, that's the big thing. All of these little things along the way that we're learning and we're going through is to validate that. And so when I get things that are correct, and things that happen quickly, like the Epstein thing was very quick. The explosion in Russia was very quick. The Tara Reid thing, I mean, that's already borne out. The thing with Justin Amash is already borne out. It's like those little predictions, even though it's fun to get things, or spot on or right, but it's all about the big prediction. Those are just the little things along the way to say, see, I can see this, and so I'm telling you that this big thing is true. And so have comfort in that, know that, because that's the reason this channel even exists, is because I was told that Donald Trump's gonna be gone, the US will survive, and people need to know this because they're gonna, I had no idea where all of this was going to go and how crazy it was going to get. I had a feeling, but I didn't know. And I definitely didn't see all of this at the time, but I knew it must have been important, because to get a calling like that is that there's something going on. There's something significant that's going to happen. And for so many people to get, I mean, a lot of the psychics have talked about the same kind of thing happening to them. You need to do this, you need to say this. It was very, very apparent to me. So, and apparently to a lot of other people. So that's great. We all heard it. We did it. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the spikes in COVID. There are going to be spikes. I'm worried most about the South and the Midwest, but it doesn't mean that can't be on the coast as well. But I'm just seeing that as like dangerously high. And if you're in those areas, it doesn't mean start freaking out. It just means be careful. You do the things you're supposed to be doing. I think it really is going to hit a lot of the places that the people were not taking precautions. They were not being careful and just going out. And there are going to be these spikes. And I also want to tell you that the numbers we see are not the numbers that are correct. I'm being told constantly when I see a number, my guides will chip in and say, it's way more than that. It is far more than that. So at some point we will get the real numbers, but for right now, this 100,000 mark I feel like it's even maybe 20 to 30,000 more than that. So just so you know, this is being way undercounted on purpose. There's to me, it feels very systematic. It feels like there is a concerted effort to undercount and play down and that kind of thing. And it feels very, it feels organized. It feels organized. So just let you guys know that, so that if these numbers go way up, you'll know why. That just letting you know. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the video that we keep seeing of George Floyd on the ground with this police officer. To see something like that and see it play out in real time, it's traumatizing. It is something you can't believe you're seeing, and that kind of stuff that shocks your system it's like a trauma. And then you have the networks playing it over and over and over and over again. So I wanted to give you an idea, something to do that might help in this circumstance, because we are in a kind of a mode where you're constantly checking in on the news because so much is happening so quickly, and it's kind of like you want to know, but you don't want to know, but you don't want to be caught off guard. So you're kind of in and out of the news, and it's also disturbing. And on top of this, you have these images that keep reappearing and reappearing and playing in your mind. And I wanted to give you some wisdom from Eckhart Tolle, who you've heard me talk about dozens of times on the channel, but he's so, to me, has so many great ideas and suggestions and how to deal with suffering, basically. And so when you see these images, first of all, try not to. I just put my hand up. I don't, because I know what it is. I know what has happened. I have the images there. And so seeing it again, it's adding on to something that's already painful. And so if you can, try not to look at the footage or try not to see it anymore. At this point, really, the network shouldn't be showing it over and over again. People know where it is. They know where to find it. And most people have seen it. But this is what they do, right? They want to make sure that these images, and I think it's important that these images are known because it's so horrific. We need to know this is happening and that this has happened. And that is completely valid. But for people that are struggling with it, I would like to give you a suggestion, which is when that image comes to mind or when you see it, remind yourself that has happened. It's in the past. It's not happening right now. It's not happening in real time. And the other thing I'd like you to try to do is picture George Floyd not in that position. Picture him, because he isn't in that position right now. And I think that it's that we need to release him from that. And it will help us as well to release him from that position. So picture him smiling, laughing, being with his family, being happy, not in that awful position. And what it does is it not only releases us from the trauma of it, but it releases him. You know, he doesn't want, he trust me when I tell you, because I haven't connected with him, but I have talked to spirits that have had a horrific or bad ending, and the relative or the person that I'm talking to keeps running those images over and over in their head. And it makes them so sad because it's so not where they are, and it's not what they want to be remembered for. It's not really what they and even if it's something like this where it sets a kind of fire under people to change things, they still don't want to have that image be all that they are, because they lived a whole life and a good life. And it sounds like he was very like socially and, aware of things like this. So definitely he wouldn't want that image to be his only, the only image you think of when you think of him. So if you can, try to picture him in another way when that comes up in your mind, and remind yourself it's not happening now. And when you have that ability to kind of step away from your own thoughts, that observer part of you that's observing that, okay, I'm thinking that again, I need to stop, that is your higher self. You're tapping into your higher self when you do that. It's like there's two of you, right? There's this thinking mind, and then there's the observer. I think you've heard Linda talk about that too. I think when we talked together, we were talking about that, but it is that observer position that you want to be in with things like this, because you can stop it. You don't have to keep going over it and over it and over it. I think sometimes we think like because something is so awful, it's like we want to give it its due, but it really doesn't help anything to go over it and over it and over it. So when you get that locked in your head, remind yourself it's not happening right now. It happened. It's in the past. It's like it's happening over and over again because we can see it, but it's not. It's in the past, and he's not in that position anymore, and he's not here anymore. He's not suffering. I can tell you, if it helps you to know, I know that from doing other readings that where he probably is right now, and I haven't connected with him, but what is probably happening is that he's going back and forth right now, which is a very common thing, especially when there's a tragedy like this, or when there's something where the family is in incredible grief. A lot of times with murder, suicide, things like that, they go back and forth. So he'll be there comforting his family, and then he's going to be in the spirit realm where things are, so light and beautiful and welcoming and loving and all of these things. And that is most likely where he is right now, is kind of moving back and forth, and also I'm sure trying to help people through this time. I do feel like there's something very there's something contractual in this. I can feel like there's some kind of life contract involved in this, just so you know. And that kind of stuff, it doesn't necessarily make it any easier, but it does make it a little bit like there's something to it. There's something more to it. It's not going to be in vain. It's not going to just be forgotten and washed away. There's something about this that feels bigger and feels like it's a contract between many people, not just him. So just so you know that, and it's interesting to get that. And so I want you guys to think of that, and hopefully that helps at least kind of release you guys and release him from this this awful moment in time that we all were made aware of. And the most important thing now is to work to change. And what you're seeing is the painful process of facing something, unearthing it, facing it, dealing with it, and dealing with all of the emotions that go along with it, and all of the history that goes along with it, and the pain of it's a collective pain that we're feeling from a very disenfranchised group of people. It is palpable right now, and it's painful, and so feel it. And then try to release it to do some good with what we know, okay? I hope that helps you guys. I know this is a difficult time. It's a trying time. All I can tell you is that we're going to get through it. We are living through a lot of history right now. So once again, write things down, be the observer, watch what's happening, remember what's happening. It's important. It's important because we don't want to repeat any of this stuff. And we want to move forward, right? We want to move forward and fix the things we need to fix, because that's what this is all moving to. And but this part of it is incredibly painful. But we will get through it. We will get through it. Trust me, we will get through it. And, just a reminder, oh, I know what I wanted to tell you. I keep feeling like there's going to be a speech coming up. It could be Obama. For some reason, I think it could be. But then again, I'm like, maybe not. But it could even be like him with someone else, or some, a joint thing or something. But it feels like a speech, and it feels very important. It feels very uplifting, and like it kind of to me, it feels like it's historical. Like we will always remember it. It's like the "I have a dream" speech, or like what it's something like that. But it's coming, and I feel like I feel like they're writing it now, like it's being written. Now, where and when it will be, I don't know. But just keep that in mind. That I feel like there's some kind of like speech coming up. It could be Biden. I don't know, but I feel like there are several people involved in it, a team working on it, and it's beautiful. I just feel like it's going to be like one of those things where it's just like your heart, it speaks to your heart. So it's something to look forward to, right? It's something to look forward to. And just, hang in there, you guys. It's a difficult environment to be in. And someone like Trump kind of thrives in this environment because it fits along with his worldview that everybody's terrible, and it makes him feel more comfortable in the world to think that. It is not the truth. Most people are good. Most people, that is the truth. Right now on the earth, most people are good. They just, want to get along in life. They want to have a good life. They want other people to be happy. They want to be happy and find joy and love and have a house and, basic things. And his worldview is everyone's crappy inside. And so if I'm crappy, I'm just like everybody else. Well, that isn't true. That's one reason he hates Obama so much, is because Obama, he's the complete and utter opposite of him. He sees the good in most everything and everybody, and he is a good person. He's made mistakes. We all make mistakes, but he's a good person. He's a good dad. He's tries to be a good husband, and he has all this goodness that he really wants to try to impart on the world. And it bugs Trump. He thinks, somewhere in there is a horrible person. I'm going to poke him until I find it. And it's just not there. So that's the way it is, And for a lot of us, Trump, that is his superpower, is to bring out hate, whether it's hate for him and against him or with him. So that's his superpower. So be aware of that. Don't let him have that power over you. Like I said, manifest the future, manifest what is going to happen. See him being taken out of the Oval Office. See someone else sitting there. See us rising above all of this. Start manifesting this now. I got that message very powerfully with the other video that I did from my guides, that now is the time. Not only for personal manifesting, like what is my part going to be in this new world, this new earth, when this shift happens, where will I be? What do I want my part to be? And also what you want, the justice that you want to see. Start seeing it. Okay, it's there. It's within reach, you guys. We just need to keep moving forward and keep our hearts and our minds in the right place. Okay, do not move into fear. Don't move into fear. There's no point at all. Keep that hope. Think of the good in people, the good you're seeing, the kindness, the caring, all of the mixture of races and, all coming together for one cause, for one hope for the future. And it's always wonderful to see. So like Mr. Rogers says, look for the helpers. Look for the helpers. Don't look at the scary stuff, okay? All right. Have a good one, guys. I love you guys. Take care. Take care of each other. Okay. Bye.